Okay, skip that part. The loader wouldn't crank, so my dad come out and we just manhandled it and rolled him right out of there. So that's got that loose. Now for some measurements. First off, this is what do we call that? 1 3/4, and say 1.5 inches. No, it's quite a bit smaller than what's in the other car, or what used to be in the other car. There's nothing left now, but we have this tied across piece all the way across here. So what I'm hoping to do, possibly, and I don't know if this is going anything like work, but I'd like to cut it about here, cut the whole back end off, and possibly use the whole thing. I'll probably have to replace that spare tire well. Either that, or maybe I could just use a 240Z tank under it. Maybe that'd cure my rusty tank issue as well. I don't know. Still in the figuring it out phase. Of course, I'll have to cut it along here. I'm going to try and use some of this wheel well, because my wheel well is really bad in the other car too, but I'll have to cut it around the strut tower because the other car does not have struts. It does have a shock tower roughly that location, which is still in fairly good shape, so this should be interesting. Just hope I can make something work. Of course, I'll have to add some sheet metal to the ends. And more disassembly here. I've already got the suspension out and need to get these brake lines out. So this little bolt right here turned some, but then when you get to the rusty portion, it doesn't turn. So what I will often do in a case like that, you know, if you try to just take it out, it's probably going to break. So we take our cutoff wheel and we're going to trim him down to where get rid of the rust. Now it should come right on out like so. And that takes this loose. I may can reuse this bracket for remounting my fuel lines. I'm not sure exactly the configuration on the other car, but so we have fuel line brackets there. We have exhaust hangers over here that'll be in approximately the right place. And we have gas tank straps, let's see, here, here, there, and there, to where 240Z gas tank will bolt right up to this because it's holding back end of a 240Z, but it's going in there. So we're going to cut approximately here where the frame straightens out and where the floorboards flatten out, keeping this cross member and replacing everything from there back so as to give it more, give it structure back. We'll have to modify bumper mounts because we have 240Z bumper mounts, which are different than the non-existing 210 bumper mounts. So it may not be a shock mounted bumper, but at least it will have a bumper back on it, which is much more than I can say for it right now. So after a lot of figuring, pretty sure it's going to work. Well, I'm going to make it work. Let's just put it that way. Have no other option aside from junking the car. It's too good a little car to just junk it. I mean, yeah, it'll never be a show car, but who cares? I just want it for a little run around. Gas mileage, So, here we go. Okay, so going to do some more work on the 210. Starting by cutting out the old floor, so I got a better idea of where to cut the donor floor. So here is what we're removing for obvious reasons. Okay, so there's a cross member here. I want to take that cross member out, but I'm going to cut it right back here behind the cross member so that I can actually get over in the trunk and see what I'm doing to cut the cross member out. Plus, I want to keep as much of this good floor as I can, and those are the spring pockets, so I don't want to cut those out. I do want the cross member, so I'm going to have to cut this out to figure out how to tie it in. Let's go underneath to show you. That passenger's rail, that's the better one. See, there's that cross member I was talking about. Now, if it were in really good shape, I would leave it, but as you can see, that's the good side. Over here, yeah, it's hard to get where you can see it, but it's pretty bad. As is our passenger's frame rail, or the lack thereof. It goes all the way up here. You're looking at the inside of the frame rail, or where that bolt is sticking up right there. There's something missing there. So we're going to cut it and splice it pretty much right behind the shock with this back end from a 240Z. Now, our width is a little bit wide here, so I've got to work that out. But I do want to try and keep this cross member, because as you can see, it's very solid, very tied in, and that gives me an entire perimeter frame for strength. So the best way to do is use all of that I can. So I may have to remove this parts of this floor pan and splice. I'm not quite sure yet, but we're going to start by removing this. So, new Sawzall blade. Now, I've never used this brand. I got these, and then I've got Hercules. So I'm going to kind of try these out. DeWalt has been my go-to for the best Sawzall blades, but they didn't have any at Harbor Freight, so I'm trying this. I've already had experience with the Warrior blades. They are absolute junk. Don't even waste your time. The Warrior grinding wheels and discs, I've had okay with them, but yeah, the Sawzall blades, no. They break before you get very far. So we're going to come in here, saw the rails, and see if we can remove this. Now, seeing as I don't have a good way to hold the camera and show the sawing, plus that's going to be really noisy and annoying, I'm probably not going to even try to video that. So anyway, so with the combination of the plasma cutter, the Sawzall, and the cutoff wheel, we've now got this just about completely loose. This cut back here was the one I made with the plasma cutter. Makes it a little easier. Cut the frame rails, each part on the Sawzall. Started this cut with the cutoff wheel. Well, I tried it with the plasma cutter, but there's seam sealer behind there, which does not work well. So I cut a little bit, but it was smoking really bad with the cutoff wheel, so I switched and cut that on across with the Sawzall. So now, let's move these lines. I got a little place right here. I think I need to don't have a shirt pocket today. still have just a smidge of rust holding it together, I believe. Alright, gotta have two hands. Alright, got that cut all the way up, but also neglected to take the exhaust hanger loose. Oh, gotta have extension. Right here. Of course. It's going to turn all the way through. There we go. Now. Oh! Hello. Let's see. Stay on there this time. Ah. Bolt, you are about to get sawzalled. If that would be more easy, but I don't think bouncing around like that's going to work too well. Okay, so he wanted to be stubborn. I got it turned out enough to get the sawzall in between there and made short work of it. So now, should be hammer time. Let's take the jingly thing out. Well, this side came loose pretty clean. This side didn't, however. So I'm gonna have to get the sawzall in, do a little more cutting, or I may even use the cutoff wheel. Not sure exactly how close to lining up that is. When I cut this side, there wasn't much cutting to it. It just sort of went through like butter. So I know I'm gonna have to cut a little more forward. Right now we're just trying to get this pile of crap out of the way to where I can get more into it. Now I know before anybody says, oh, that car's not worth saving. Yeah, I already know this. But it's a 210. You don't find them every day, so. And I've actually got a lead on a guy has a whole back end of one of these if I want to go back down 150 miles to get it. Plus, I don't know what he wants for it, but yeah, I've already got the 240Z back section, so we're going to see if we can make that work. If we can, that'd be great. Use what you got, right? Well, it's all cut out. Still got some cleaning up to do. Still got to take out that cross member that you can see right there. But easing my way up to that. But I also had to take out the exhaust. See it laying under there. So that I could get my new pan in or whatever. So just for shits and giggles here. Let's see how she sounds straight piped. Yep, here's the key. Well, not really a whole lot louder, but 65 horsepower. It's not exactly a beast. Okay, I have now got the floor pan completely out of the 210, the trunk floor. And, you know, it's kind of funny how when I started messing with it and sawing and beating and banging, there was like one hole in this spare tire well to begin with. Now, as you can see, the whole thing was about ready to fall out. That side, yeah, that's the better side. This side, the frame rail is literally just like there's a piece of it. And here's an inside, this is actually an inside reinforcement. The rest of the frame rail is literally gone. So, but as you can see here, and this back brace right here, that's the cross member, goes across the rear. Was supposed to be tied into the corner there. Yeah, that's all gone. So, what we have here, 240Z, and it's got a little dent damage, but that'll be okay. As you can see, this car did have some rust, yes, but the parts we're needing, and there's even some in this floor pan. Now, I'm not worried about that. We've got a frame. You know, it's not exactly the same. If I can make it work, then we can actually save this car. If I can get this trunk pan fixed, the floor pans is not a problem. Because I have floor pans right over there from a 2000 Celica, but I've done measured those. I'm pretty sure they're going to work pretty well. So a little more measuring and figuring out where I got to cut this. Thinking about cutting the strut tower up here and the top of it out, and then trying to bring that in and attach to the original shock tower. If I can, that will really give it a lot of extra strength. I'm going to try and leave as much as this wheel well as possible because my wheel wells are pretty much gone in the back. The rest of them are okay. I'm going to have to cut it along here, so the wheel well will cut somewhere. Probably wheel well cut, strut tower and everything will cut here and here, because this was on a wide-bodied 240 and they really ruined the quarter panels when they did that. So all that'll be cut. I'll probably use just like half, the inner half of the wheel well, or as much as I can. But so once I figure it out, I'll do some more cutting.